Hey, what's good? Russell Cleveland is a successful businessman running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Montana. His vision for the future of this country is really weird because it includes one that both parties come back to the table and actually speak like adults. Go figure. We're going to be talking to Russell Cleveland about his life, his career, and now his interest in becoming a politician. Before we get into it, remember to go to coconutjustice.com to get you some clothes I think would look good on you. Let's go. This week, or this episode, we're going to be talking to someone who, quite honestly, I'm going to try to do a psyche evaluation on him because I don't know, for some reason, he was living the good life in California, and then he skipped around, and then he went to Montana, and now not all of that makes sense. Now he wants to run for Congress. Now he wants to run, he wants to go into politics. So because I care about him so much, I'm going to see if I can't talk him out of it. Russell Cleveland is a businessman that lives in Montana, and he is running for United States House of Representatives. Is that correct?
That's correct. You got it.
How did I do?
You're right on the money, my man.
Excellent. And then real quick before we get right in too much into it, Mike Stringham, C4 Explosives is here with us too. And so before we go any further, thanks Mike for setting this up. And again, thanks Russ for coming and hanging out with us for a little while.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. What's going on in Montana?
Well, this time of year is pretty incredible, honestly. I heard someone say the other day, you have.
Let me get you to tilt your camera down just a little bit.
Yeah, how's that? Perfect.
There you go.
We get, Montana gets 9 months of winter and 3 months of company. That seems to be the thing. I think another common face in the state, Ryan Bussey. He's a big public lands guy. I think he said that on John Tester's podcast here last week, and it made me laugh because it's so true. This time of year we get such awesome weather, and whether you're into hiking, boating, floating, fishing, anything, you don't have the heat of California or Florida like you guys are dealing with right now. No humidity. It's 80 degrees, no humidity, and
it's exactly 80 degrees. There's no wind chill. There's no heat index.
No. The one thing we battle, we're starting to get it. We could dip into that a little bit today, probably. Is smoke. The wildfires are getting worse and worse. So this time of year, it's like enjoy your last few days of clear skies, because any week now smoke rolls in, and it doesn't usually leave till September. So.
Yeah, I know. That's the hard part of, I'm originally from Chicago, so it took me a minute to get into the whole tree hugger, environmentalist understanding of it all,
Yeah.
And so for me, coming from that, I never really, like in Chicago, it gets really hot and then it gets really cold.
Yeah.
So we never really think about, like, especially out here in California, they have microclimates and how the mountains affect the air that comes from over the ocean and all kinds of stuff. All this stuff is happening, and people in the city don't really think about it that way. Whereas if you're out in Montana, or even by me, I'm in Northern California, so it's very much farmland and everything has to do with the weather.
Oh, yeah.
So when the farmers are telling you, hey, something is happening, and people still don't listen, and then they get surprised that there's smoke every summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we maybe should listen to the farm. Those generational farmers typically know best, don't they?
Yeah.
They've been around for a little while.
They only have an almanac.
Exactly. Well, especially where you're at. I mean, you talk about the sensitivity of grape harvest and
Mm-hmm.
those guys have to go through and smoke in the air affects production and the take
Mm-hmm.
place of grapes and you name it. So they're
Yeah.
sensitive to every factor that you can think of. It's not just whether or not they get water.
Right. Right. And sometimes you get too much water.
Yeah,
All
100%.
that plays into it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Montana's great. We have about three more months of pretty nice weather, and then winter typically rolls in and end of October or so,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's cold and miserable
Yeah.
for 6 months.
I saw you out on the boat, man, celebrating your anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations, brother, man. It looked beautiful, brother. Like out on the water, man, the mountains. You got the landscape. Thought you guys were filming a movie out there.
Yeah, it's picturesque where we live. I mean, we're really blessed here in Montana. You can cut that part out because we don't want anybody else, but we're blessed to live here, and I'm blessed to have an amazing wife. We've been married 12 years now, and
Is she originally from Montana?
Oh, she grew up on a little island in Puget Sound called Vashon Island, just outside of Seattle, and so
Okay.
she's used to rain. You talked about rain, but Northwest gets a lot of rain. So,
that's a different kind of rain, though.
Yeah, cold, dreary rain. I mean, I did my grad school in Seattle, and it was all I could do to hang there a few years. It was, it's you grow up in Montana or Colorado or anywhere in the Rocky Mountains. It's a lot of sunshine, even when it's cold. You get there in the Northwest, and it's a lot of gray skies. Most of the year is gray and dreary. So you got to have a certain mindset to be able to put up without it affecting your person or your not your personality, but your mood.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, especially someone coming from San Diego that is like 72 year round.
Yeah, no kidding.
You can tell. We can talk about how good that weather is, so everyone can go down there.
I know, right? There. It was a good spot to be born, and my dad was in the Navy, and so I was a Balboa baby, like so many Navy brats are on there.
Uh-huh.
But then we flipped the script. He took a job out in Ridgecrest, California, which is Death Valley temperatures, and I just remember being a kid, like 3 or 4 years old. We just couldn't go outside in the day because it was so hot. Fry an egg on the cement,
Yeah.
And that's not for me. I'll pass. I'd rather have cold winter, 125 degree summers, So.
Especially being outdoorsy too, like
Sure.
I like being outside. I'm not afraid of a little bit of cold,
Yeah.
But you can't take 115 off of your skin.
Right.
You just...
There's no more layers to peel off, You can always add layers. You can't peel them off.
Yeah. Yeah, like I went to Dubai a couple years ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, in the summertime it's 120 in the shade."
Yeah.
Like, why would you ever want to do that?
I
don't even like going to the beach in the summer out here, so I can only imagine what that's like.
What part of Florida are you in?
I'm just north of West Palm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not. I mean, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but it gets hot. You can't even walk on the sand. Like, that's got to deter you a little bit. Like, all right, if I can't get to where I want to be at in the water, because I'm gonna burn my feet, like I'm in Death Valley, then I'm
good.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting hotter, fellas. I mean, whether people want to admit it or not, here we are, the flash floods in Texas and every week. It seems like it's not cooling down for us anytime soon. So.
No, it's absurdly hot. or
Yeah.
extreme cold. Mother Nature's upset big time.
Right. And not even just temperature wise, just the magnitude of the storms that are going through. And and there's a lot of other, I've been in on like scientific boats and stuff where they're like measuring things and plankton and all this stuff. There's things that are happening in the water that's affecting the chain of life that people refuse to pay attention to. So when you have a knucklehead like the president that's saying, "Oh, California, they're worried about these little guppies," or whatever it was that he was complaining about like 2 months ago, that's because they're watching those fish to make sure that we're not going to kill ourselves.
Yeah.
There's
Everything's
a meaning to that madness.
Yeah, everything's interconnected. We're losing. We've lost more species in the last decade than the prior 100 years was some statistic I read, something like that. And if you don't pay attention to those things, I mean, everything, whether they're feeding on the next lowest thing in the chain or whether, they're a vital part of some other ecosystem. I think what we have to realize as humans is we may think we're the biggest, baddest thing, but we do depend on all of these other factors at some level. And so we will push ourselves out of existence if we're not careful. And like you said, Michael, the Mother Nature eventually will say enough's enough, right? So
we need her. You don't need us.
Absolutely. Even though it's going to give us more oceanfront property, right?
Yeah.
So what'd you go to school for?
Well, I started my schooling, coming out of small town in Montana. I went to a school called Montana Tech here, and a big engineering school. Started studying engineering. Played football there, and decided a couple years in, I was like, I don't know if I want to be an engineer. Sit in a cubicle and design things every day. It didn't really seem like my cup of tea, and so that's when I had transitioned over to the Navy. Got out of Montana, and my third going into my fourth year in, had a pretty gnarly accident in the Navy. Broke my back in 3 places.
Oh.
Ruptured 2 discs, or bulged 2 discs, and so that last year, basically, a physical therapist and doctor team was kind of putting me back together again. And I fell in love with health and wellness. I mean, I just thought it was such a cool thing to have like a non-surgical option to get well after a significant injury like that. And so I actually got out. I was planning on being a career guy and retiring, but an injury like that reduces your options on what you can do.
For sure.
And so I got out and finished my bachelor's in nutrition, and then was actually a personal trainer for years. Did all types of different clientele in the Reno area. So I actually had moved to Nevada at that time. And then, after working for some different organizations and fitness clubs, I really decided I wanted to start my own gig at some point, and that's why I went back to grad school. So I ended up getting my master's in MBA with a sport focus. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the courses were more geared towards sports statistics and fandom, like evaluating what drives people to be so crazy obsessed with sports and different elements of attending sporting events, and everything from the smell when you walk into a stadium to the colors on jerseys and it's crazy what you can dig into and evaluate that drives people to fandom. But it's so relevant to everything else we do. I mean, you think about what it's really, kind of sociology and psychology, if you think about it, like get into the number side of it, but really people look for community. And And we, in a modern era, typically find community inside of our sports, but really what we're trying to do is find identity inside of these communities that
Mm-hmm.
we can find a common bond with other people who share
Mm-hmm.
share the losses, share those smells, share those experiences, and I think music's very much the same way, Mike. I think people things make you feel a certain way, and that feeling is what you hold on to for a long time. And so, what's the old saying? You might forget what someone said to you, but you'll never forget the way it made you feel.
Oh yeah. Huh.
That's
Mm-hmm.
it all ties back to that. It's like it's they've studied it, and now of course, good old American way, we figured out a way to monetize it in sports, but and music and everything else. But
Mm-hmm.
really, that's what it is human nature. And so, I was able to tie that into almost every, and I know you said I've been all over the place. I have. My wife calls it a professional ADD. So things, but the theme remains true. It's kind of like leadership. It's like you can figure out how to motivate people and bring people
Yeah.
together. I think you can do a lot of good, or you can do a lot of evil, as we've seen. I mean, it can go either way, and so I think we need to start countering some of the latter with some more positive in the world for sure. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there's a difference between leading from the back and leading from the front. Like if you're in the trenches with on the front lines with everybody, and you're elbows to elbows with your next man, you gain that respect, and that's actually ties you better than any type of money, power, or whatever you try to leverage against somebody else, because that'll definitely break.
Yeah, and I'll never talk down on my fellow veterans, but I made a comment here the other day. I said I compare it. I was an enlisted guy, so you enlist, you sign up, you're not well paid, you're working long hours.
Mm-hmm.
You
don't get to go home after the weekend, like you're in it.
Someone with a lot of gold or brass is typically the one making decisions and barking orders, and you just kind of shut up and show up, right? And and when you talk about the different types of leadership, it's like some of the best leaders I've ever met were actually enlisted guys, because of that sole factor that you just talked about. Is you're right there in the thick of it with your fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, whatever it is, doing the work with them, strategizing with them, sweating, dirty, you name it, and it's a like experience that I think brings people together versus someone in their ivory towers telling shouting orders. That's a different type of I wouldn't even call them leader, management altogether. And so
there's people that just want to be the boss just to say that they're the boss.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I joke saying, well, that my opponent was an officer, right? So that's all people need to know is I was enlisted and he was an officer. So if you want someone to represent,
I mean, let's go ahead and yeah, exactly, right? Because if you're enlisted and someone calls you sir, you say, "Excuse me, I am not sir. I work for a living."
Right. That's right. So hopefully you weren't, Carlos. I
wasn't. No, I was enlisted too. Yeah, I was in the Army. Yeah, I was in the Army. So, you get to see the clear line between enlisted and the commissioned officers. And I signed up for that, and I did my time, and I realized that it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Because I considered myself a little more intelligent than some of the people that were ahead of me. And I I was saving everybody time and money. I knew that wasn't for me, and I knew it was only a matter of time before I got in trouble.
Yeah.
I got a progress report that I refused to sign until it was something. I felt sick one day and I showed up late to formation. And so because of that, they passed me up for a promotion. And so then they brought me the progress report for why I was late and all that stuff. And the grammar was horrible. So I went through with a red pen and I rewrote and I did, like what your English teacher used to do. This is the subject, this is the predicate. I did all of that. And I said, I'm not signing this and then that's when I knew that it was time for me to not talk about re-upping.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that's I think I thought of that very much that way when I was there too. Is like, okay, some of these guys and gals, this was clearly their only option, right?
Right.
And
no harm, no foul. If that's your thing, that's your thing.
Your thing, and that. But what I realized is that's everywhere, right? Like
right.
No matter if you're working at McDonald's or whether you're going to college or whether you're in the military or Peace Corps or whatever, you're going to have those kind of divisions of both effort and intelligence everywhere, and you got to learn to live with all of them and find that mutual bond and respect. I think it's
yeah.
I feel like that's what we're missing is just the ability to just step back and just show some mutual respect, no matter where people are at.
Exactly. Because that's one of the things that you do learn going through the military is that respect. For as much as I did on that progress report with all the red lines and all the circles and stuff like that, I still respected my sergeant. I was trying to prove a point. When you try to treat, this is going to sound self-loving and all that stuff, but the facts are the facts. When you have a bad MF who is in the middle of being a bad MF and you trip him up by saying you showed up to formation late one day, you can destroy that bad MF.
Not so bad, are you?
Yeah. So that's what I realized. I was like, we might have to go private.
Or you can or on the opposite, on the end, if he's not a bad MF yet, he could be, but you just destroyed him right there before you stunted his growth right before anything even came to fruition.
Yeah. So that's all that to go back to no matter what, for me, I've always had that level of respect for whomever. If I'm your boss, if I'm not your boss, there's a level of respect that you need to maintain to be able to get anything done. Because that's what's happening now is we have Congress full of people who are just there to get insta famous, and they want all the clicks and they want all the drama to be associated to them so they can whatever. From what I understand, that's how they make their money.
Placeholders, that's what I call them. Listen, their job is to represent the people that elected them, and I don't know where along the line, and not all of them are this way, but it seems like a great majority, and on both sides, I'm the first one to say, like, hey, this is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. We have a democracy issue that has been plagued with dark money and some crooked politics and Citizens United and all these different contributing factors that I think are encouraging that type of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been a perfect setup for a leader like Donald Trump to come in and take over without anyone pushing back and raising their hand and saying, not on my watch, right? No one wants to disrupt the comfortable situation that they're in, and so they're idly watching, and it's it's going to take us decades to undo some of the things that are
And how frustrating is it for you as a veteran to see someone who has never done anything for the country except rip it off?
Mm.
This person has never done anything. He hasn't built a school. He didn't serve. He didn't go to the Peace Corps. He didn't run a food bank, nothing. How frustrating is it for you to see someone like that just leading everything?
I think the more frustrating thing is the amount of people he's been able to persuade to believe otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, you run into those people. Like there's people out there that are so self-absorbed and so narcissistic that it doesn't matter what you show them or tell them or they don't believe data, they don't believe science, they don't believe history, none of it.
It's crazy.
But if they're living in their own world, that's one thing.
Sure.
But to create an environment where in some ways you've effectively cultified half of the country or half of the voters in the country to believe that same thing, while the rest of the world stands by wondering what the hell is going on, is crazy to me. I mean, I don't understand it. I don't understand how that's even possible.
Yeah. And he wasn't hiding anything either. It's like it's out there. He was who he was, and it's his track record. And they're like, "Oh man, this guy's great. How? What are you talking?
Literally how?"
Yeah, he hasn't done anything that he hasn't done prior. I mean, that's
right.
Like yes, the guy lies. Everything that comes out of his mouth is a lie, but that's also a truth in itself. Is like, that it's bullshit. And so if you just look at the last 20 years, it's all the same. And I mean, before this, not to jump in, I know you talked about going down the Epstein hole, which I'm sure we'll go down. Maybe that's a segue. But I knew this was going to become a Democrats made this up story before they even decided to suppress these records altogether. I'm like, this is going to turn into a Obama made this up type story or Biden made this up type story.
But they didn't exist for like half a day, and then now they're fake.
After existing for 40 years, all of a sudden.
Right. Short memories. I think that's the problem. Maybe we need to look into, American memory spans are
I know.
Fairly short. But yeah, I mean, no one talks or thinks about January 6th anymore. No one thinks about the economic recovery we had to do coming out of a post-Trump, post-COVID environment, and people have question marks on how this is going to impact us, even from that time frame, education-wise, before the current administration is, unraveling Department of Education and funding, and you name it. There's years and years and years of work to do just to get kids back on from 2020, 2021. And so, that before that happened, we were already in an average of an 8th grade education in this country. And so then you set people back a couple more years because of that, add in this newest fun little adventure that we're on together. And I'm worried. I'm honestly worried. I'm worried about the ability for the average American to actually reason what is true and what is false, and find the truth for themselves instead of believing what's on their phone or on their TV. So we're in it. We're in it. I mean,
That's one of the more important things, at least for me, is that it's the lack of, well, the lack of investment in education, but also the culture around being smart. Like I'm old. I was born in 72, so I have mileage.
Sure.
I remember being a kid and people were the country was a smart country, and we took pride in being smart, and we took pride in inventing things and building things, and we were a very proud people when it came to especially education. On our TV, we had things like Schoolhouse Rock, we had uh, Sesame Street, we had all of these wonderful, all this programming that just gave you an education on accident. All you had to do was watch, and you can learn conjunction, junction, what's your function.
Yes,
I
sir.
remember that.
And now it's almost like the younger generations take pride in doing dumb things like eating Tide Pods. And I understand that it's not everybody's eating Tide Pods, but the pride in being smart is just for, I don't see it, and I could be wrong, but I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a condition of, 3-second attention span now, which is a direct result
Yeah.
of, we remember the Real World, like the show The Real World. Now it's Real World, 2 E's, right? Or EEL, where
Yeah.
And then the presidency turned into the Real World.
Yeah. Now it's like a 3-second reel, it's like on to the next, and all that does is mess up that wiring in your brain that you're as a society, we're no longer able to hold on to your constant focus that channels direction for a longer term purpose. Now, in my opinion, I don't know how you change that without putting a choker on the metas, the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, and the counter narrative, because it's a capitalist country and they're profit producing industries, is that they're going to use the freedom of speech narrative to say that that's being inhibited. But really, it's not a freedom of speech thing, right? This is an online platform and a business that's making money off of people's lives. So I think we have to figure out a way to find a middle ground there where freedom to socialize on an online platform, but it's also not a constant loop of false information that pollutes people's minds.
Yeah.
In order to unlock kids' phones, there should be a math question or some sort of historical fact.
A pop quiz.
Every so often, just to snap them out of it a little bit,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that app, right? There's this one app that you have to do 10 push-ups or something like that to be able to use your Instagram for a minute. And I was joking with my teenage son. I'm like, listen, man, with as much time as you spend on your phone and social media trying to pick up girls, you would be jacked if I had that app on your screen.
You'll be able to fit the doorway.
But earlier we were joking around because the internet that you're on, you said you had dial-up.
Yeah, I don't actually, but it's it's
you just
fast.
never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I'm like, damn, Montana's rough.
Yeah.
The kids are on a treadmill. They're trying to wire them.
They're doing jumping jacks so dad can stream on the internet.
There's probably some places in Montana where dial-up would probably be faster than the internet that is available, but You know, we're a rural state, and I think, you know, some of the issues that are plaguing us are we're not ready for. And honestly, it's not just us; it's all over the country. But one of them is we basically, there is more than one, but there's basically one power company that supplies the whole state. And they have a monopoly over our utilities here. And
Who do you guys have?
Northwest.
Northwest.
Energy, yeah, and you know, one of the issues is you know, they raised prices last year, like 20-something%. They raised it again this spring, 17%. Power bills have gone up for people here over 30% in just the last 18 months. And so many Montanans are on fixed income. The median income here is under $50,000. And yet the median income to afford a 3-bedroom home in this state is $180,000. So even if a married couple both were to work a job that was at or slightly above median income, they still are missing a third income entirely to be able to afford a 3-bedroom home in this state. That the math isn't mathing, you know.
Yeah.
And so you factor that in. You factor in, you know, kind of a rural economy, if you will, the rising costs, and then you start factoring in monopolization of other companies. Like, you know, we go down a deep rabbit hole of cellular monopolization between the big three, and what that is costing people now just to have a cell phone, which is almost a requirement these days, right? We are rapidly pricing out the middle and the lower class out of existence to extinction, and no one's doing anything about it. So it's we're not talking out of our lifetime. We're talking, you know, in the next couple decades, we're looking at that, and we got to turn a page soon.
Yeah. What's your main
platform? Or
not your platform, but like as far as Montana goes, how does Montana make its money? What's your biggest export? Is the wrong word. Like California, we have Silicon Valley, we have movies.
Yeah.
And tons of almonds.
Traditionally, you know, we're a big timber state.
Okay.
We have coal as well, some petroleum and mining as well. You know, and there are some other industries coming in now that, you know, are supplemental to that. But, you know, there's more people in San Francisco or LA or any of those singular cities in California than there are in our entire state here. The difference is a lot more ground in between us in this state. And so it's hard to have a main economy that's not tied to, you know, one of those major metro areas in this in the state. Billings being the big one. It's not in my district, it's on the inside, but you know, that's a big oil and gas city. And the western side where we're at, it historically has been a big timber area. But the problem that we're facing now is one of our big lumber mills here, Steely Swan, is a area just north of Missoula, one of our bigger metro areas that has had a generational mill there for decades and decades and decades, and they're closing down. They're on the brink of closing down, like so many mills have in this state. They can't get people to work there anymore, and the number one reason is the cost of housing is too high. They can't build more housing because they're basically boxed in on a. They don't have any type of centralized sewer system there. Pollutes the lake that's nearby, and so the whole area is in need of a major overhaul in order to add housing. And you know, it's just too big of an investment. There's not really the return on investment for the industry, and so they're faced with closure. And so that's just one more mill. The town I live in here in St. Regis, Idaho Forest Group had a mill here for decades and decades, and it's been sitting vacant now for 2 years. They closed it down shortly after we moved up here, and put several hundred guys out of work, and so it's almost all of our lumber now comes from where? Canada.
Mhm.
And so now we're dependent on an import again. That's fine. I mean, Canada's probably got a lot more lumber than us. However, we don't log it here. Guess what happens to it? Just like in California, it burns.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's just going to sit around and wait for us to figure our stuff out. It becomes a tinderbox, and so it's a dying industry, unfortunately. And with that, Montana has become kind of a rich man's playground. So most of the people moving in are independently wealthy from out of state somewhere, and it's driven out most of the industry and most of the middle and lower class here.
So there is a lot of truth to, and I know this is going to sound funny, but there's a lot of truth to what they say on Yellowstone.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's eerily, we, all of us that are true Montanans, in many ways hate the show, but there's a lot of parallels to it too. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, eerie parallels to some of the things that are going on. I mean, our Native American populations here have for generations been shit on, by our government and racism.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Can't they just start a casino and they're fine?
Yeah. And so it's of course glorified for Hollywood purposes, but many of the things you see there are true. I mean, there's generational ranches and farms that are being priced out with property taxes and zoning and regulations, and they just aren't able to sustain anymore. I mean, some of these ranches saw as much as a 3,000% increase over the last couple of years in property taxes. How do you sustain that? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
So, and that's just a start. I mean, this is everywhere, but I know you see it in California, but then you add in insurance from all the natural disasters and fires on top of it.
Oh yeah.
And cost of groceries and living and that, and it's a slippery slope. But Montana can grow, man. I don't know how we do it, but there are more people moving in than out. So
because it's gorgeous there.
It is.
So the nickname is Big Sky Country or Big Sky State, and it's true.
Yeah, it is.
It's true.
And it's beautiful here. I mean, that's what brought me back. I grew up here. Wouldn't have had it any other way, and this is where I wanted to raise my kids. And it's a pretty
kids outside are such a wonderful idea.
Yeah, for both parental sanity and
that's the best babysitter. Just send them outside.
Go outside.
Yeah.
Come back when it's dark out.
Yeah, if even then. No, out in Montana, you have to be careful though. The bobcats and the coyotes will get you. You'll be home before the sun goes down. You're fine.
Yeah, we'll take those all day long compared to what you guys probably deal with in California and Florida, where animals leave us alone, we leave them alone. It's a pretty mutual respect,
Yeah.
I caught the dog the last 2 nights ago. The dogs went crazy at the door. We're trying to sleep, and we're like, "Oh man, just go to bed, go to bed." And then we saw the Ring camera, and there was a coyote that was walking away from our door. I'm like, I'm like,
oh yeah,
that's not cool.
Yeah,
that's not cool.
No, I tell you, I can take you across town. And at night you'll hear all the coyotes just singing and checking in with each other. When they get close, it gets creepy.
Yeah.
When you can hear them like clearly, it gets creepy.
Coyotes are the good ones. We've got, it's the wolves and grizzly bears here that you got to be.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we got real critters here, guys. None of that coyote bob.
Yeah, look at
No
like
alligators.
so you guys are talking about little pets.
Yeah, I'm like coyotes.
You got bears and eagles.
Only thing that was a coyote killing our chickens. I'm not worried about them hurting us. So it's fine.
Oh, all right. Well, I won't talk about my coyotes anymore. I'm gonna scratch that one off.
So then you got into the healthy lifestyle, and obviously being outside and all that stuff is all part of it. Once you graduated and once you were doing physical training and all that stuff, or personal training and all that stuff, did that, like, how did you get from, this is what I'm trying to get to, how did you get from teaching people healthy lifestyle to wanting to run for politics?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So this is where the career kind of went on the S curves a little bit, but it all ties together. So when I went and did my master's at Seattle U, I actually got on with Seattle U. Started as their fitness director for the university there. And then
when you played football, real quick, I'm sorry for interrupting. What did you play? What position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. So working for the university, I slid into a different role. It kind of tied with my Navy background. When I first went in the Navy, I went in as a search and rescue swimmer. I was a big swimmer. I cross-traded into avionics and both related to helicopters, obviously, but really liked the avionics field. I thought maybe that was something that I could make a career out of. Anyhow, well, with Seattle University, they had an aquatics position open up, running their aquatics program there. So they had 2 Olympic-sized pools. Obviously, the Seattle U swim team was there, and so I was fortunate to get that position. And through that process, finishing my master's, I also got into a pretty elite program there at Seattle U called Executive Leadership Program. And what that is a selective cohort of basically executive leaders around the Seattle area. So I was in a cohort with, some of the executives from Costco and Expedia and Boeing and some of the major local companies there. And that kind of flipped everything on its head. So I went from this fitness recreation type path to really business focused. And shortly after that, I was picked up by U.S. Bank to be part of I finished those programs in school, obviously, first. And I went into a program with U.S. Bank where they were looking for guys or girls with pretty significant leadership experience, but no banking experience, to see, it was kind of a test to see, hey, if we bring in strong leaders and teach them banking, can they transform our organization or perform at a higher level than someone that we bring up through the ranks and try and teach them to be leaders, right? I mean, that's the eternal test. Can you teach leadership or can you teach skill? And it worked. And I took a job in Denver. They gave me my first branch in that Denver area. A couple months in, I had no idea what I was doing banking wise. I just solely focused on my team and more the leadership quality of it, immersing into the community and helping small businesses, problem solve. And then within 18 months, we were top 1% in the company. U.S. Bank's a Fortune company. Fifth largest bank, I believe, still in the country. But so it worked. I mean, the tests worked. Obviously, I promoted quickly in that organization and was running part of the Denver market for a period of time. And one of my clients in that process was a childcare business, one of the main childcare businesses in Colorado. And they were sunsetting that organization. I think they sold or planning on selling to a larger competitor. And I had become friends with the COO, and he had stepped away from the organization and wasn't planning on getting back into childcare. I think he was thinking about opening a brewery or something like that. Colorado's got a lot of breweries, right? But
It does.
They,
It does.
what they didn't have a lot of was childcare providers. Much like Montana and many other states, it was a childcare desert in terms of provider was out there. And so I knew business, I knew finance, he knew childcare, and he said, "Hey, listen, I think we should start our own thing," and we did. I stayed on with the bank for a couple of years, and we grew it. Our first year, we opened our 2 flagship locations in 2016, and by 2024, beginning of 2024, we were 42 locations, and so we grew really quickly. We had 9,000, almost 10,000 kids in our program, and we were one of the only providers through COVID that stayed open. We were shut down for only a week, and story I'd like to tell is that was kind of really my first involvement in politics, trying to convince the state and counties to allow us to stay open and legislate in a way that would serve the community in a positive way. We had essential workers that needed to provide medical services and you name it, but they had nowhere to send kids. Schools had shut down, and schools were trying to go remote, but you can't just leave your 6-year-old kid at home by themselves to learn on a computer while you go and be a nurse somewhere, right?
Right.
So it was a pretty easy conversation to have, but it was logistically very difficult because we got booted from all of our public schools. They closed all those facilities down. No one could be in those buildings. So we had to figure out, make quick partnerships with churches and community centers and you name it, to find alternative spaces to set up these social distancing areas where, Jimmy could be right here learning at one school, and 8-10 feet apart from him is another kid learning in a different school, a totally different grade, totally different curriculum, totally different format. And you have 30 or 40 of those kids in that center, all attending different schools on different platforms. And of course, the church's networks never could support that many. So we had to bring in supplemental technology on cellular internet networks that people were getting onto and things like that. It was a lot of logistics. And so just an incredible experience. But the impact for that, was transformational for that community, and for us. That's really what skyrocketed our growth. And so this last year, we were kind of at another turning point, and we were at that cusp where roughly 200 employees, and size-wise, it's like if we grow anymore, we're gonna have to obviously onboard our own legal team, our own HR team, our own. And you kind of have this reset where you're like, you're doing well, and all your profit margins are able to pay your employees well, have a great benefits package, and then if you grow anymore, it's actually a step back, because now your insurance cost goes up, your liability goes up, you all this overhead in terms of positions, and so it was a little bit of a learning experience for us of like, well, there's a sweet spot in there. And one of the options was to merge with another like company that was very values based like us, and so we took the opportunity, and one of the sweet things was every single one of our employees moved over to them. They kept every single one of our contracts. Even my wife still works for them, so she was our chief of staff. She's now their national operations director. And so the only 2 people that I joke, like the only 2 people that lost their job in the merger was my partner and I. But I was planning on taking some time off and being dad, and I coach football and track here at our high school in town. And I was like, hey, this is a good opportunity for me just to enjoy life a little bit and slow down and enjoy the kids. And then November happened. And so election happened, and I tried to stay optimistic, guys. I tried to.
Me too, brother. Me too.
But
I
like
have.
January, it was like cuts to cancer research, cuts to VA, cuts to the Department of Education, proposals to raise national deficit, and I'm just like, I got to get in this fight. I was in the black hole, the spiral of complaining and bitching and wanting to change. But I'm like, you know what? I'm perfectly poised to lead this charge in terms of change in my area, and I think I think God's given me the opportunity to step up and do that in this area, and I've got nothing to lose. So I don't need this job for money. I need this job because I want my kids to have a country left when they're my age. And so my need is purpose driven, not profit driven, and I think that makes me pretty passionate about the mission ahead. So
that is an impressive story. It's just really cool to see good people succeed. Because I know we get bogged down, we get story after story at this guy, he did this and that, and he's still winning. And this guy did, well, winning as far as like how some people can see it, I guess. So I guess monetarily winning, meaning people like Trump and coming from Chicago streets and having to fight for every kernel, everything, nothing was given to you. And again, you look at these clowns that are running for president, and the only reason that he's that popular is because he tricked a bunch of people into thinking that he was smart. His track record is trash.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other folks too that are they just jumped on some popularity thing and they found a little success, and they're in here and they're doing nothing but creating stress for you, not you, for whoever's watching this. They're creating stress for you. It's not supposed to be like this.
Right.
You're supposed to, when I was a kid, we trusted the news. Because when I was a kid,
some people
a lot like Russell were the adults in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you would have someone acting crazy like the powers that be, some guys would stand up and be like, no, you, sir, need to sit down.
Or resign, right? We saw that a lot. Where it's
or
like,
resign.
If the party would force people to resign, that.
Yeah. There was a certain level of sophistication that we used to have. It used to be you go to school, then you go to more school, then sometimes you serve the military, and you go and you are how it's supposed to sound.
Dying breed, as I say. Unfortunately, the system is not rigged for guys like me to get elected anymore either.
Right.
It's insanely hard, and I'm in a position. I don't have some nest egg that I can invest in this campaign, and like a lot of these guys do. But what I do have is time. I have 18 months where I don't necessarily have to try and work a part-time or full-time job, and campaign. Alongside that, I can campaign. That's it. And I think that's a benefit. But even with that, I mean, my opponent, if I raise $2 million, he's going to raise $4 million. If I he's going to raise $8 million. So we have to be strategic and the reason for that is because I'm grassroots and I'm raising money for guys like you and, guys like my neighbors and my community who they might make $50,000 a year and they can only afford to donate $100, which is fantastic, and I'm appreciative of that. But many of our opponents will have PAC money and corporate buy and a lot of wealthy donors that it's no big deal to cut them a fat check, and so they can raise a lot of money quickly. So I think what people need to realize, because the number one question that comes out of that statement is, well, how do we win then if that's the case? And I think what people need to realize is there's a lot more of us than them.
Mm-hmm.
Our strength is in numbers. And when people think, well, my donation doesn't make a difference or my vote doesn't make a difference, oh bullshit. There's a lot more of us than them. And if you can buy into the quantity factor,
Mm-hmm.
we still have that on our side. And
and I can give you a laundry list of examples of where the underdog or the smaller campaign has been victorious. One of them is very easily on the north side of Chicago. We both Mike and I both know him, Andre Vasquez. We know him from the streets. We know him from hip hop, Chicago hip hop.
He used to battle back in the day.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the guy that was running against him was an incumbent, and he'd been an incumbent for I don't know how many election cycles, but he was there and he was cemented in. He even used some of his rap name was Prime, Optimus Prime. He used some of Prime's footage from when he was doing battles, and he was using derogatory terms. And the guy was trying to use that as an example of how not ready for the job Andre Vasquez was.
Right.
And then I'd live out here, but he did his thing. I was, every time he did something, I shared. And every time he posted something, I shared. And then he knew he had me available for graphics and videos and all the things. Yeah. But he went and he took that seat, and he's been in it for, I think, a couple election cycles now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But he's out there. He's on Instagram. He shows, like, if there's a tree down in the middle of the street, he's over there telling people, hey, there's a tree down in the middle of the street.
Yep. These zoning laws were wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the point I liked that you said that is, like you said, I shared. And I think, I complained a little bit about social media, but it does have its benefits too. And in these type of scenarios, that type of scenario, it's perfect. I mean, it's if people can buy into, I'm going to share everything that I identify with or that I find that I support. You can grow the algorithm a certain way, and that's I try to tell my friends that, like, look, guys, you got to keep sharing. Like one of the best ones. He shares all sorts of my stuff. I do the same thing for his content, because it's like the same. It's the same idea of, like, we can either just fall victim to a very organized, powerful regime, if you will, that is effective at promoting your message, i.e. the Republican Party. They're very organized, and they all speak the same language, almost like they get a morning brief on what bullshit to spew into the universe.
Oh, for absolute sure. Oh.
But Trump doesn't read the brief. Trump does not read the brief.
Oh my God. That is so true.
It's almost like they all get on a 6 a.m. together, and it's like, this is what chaos we're just going to put out in the world that makes no sense.
Yeah.
But we're all going to sing the same tune, and by strength in numbers, it will, we'll tilt the spectrum our way, because there's going to be so many people saying it that there's just a segment of the population that will believe it because it's so dominant. And that's the one thing I think, Democrats and independents, they gotta figure out how to stop internally combusting so much and learn to swim in the same direction to counter that narrative. And one of the ways you do that is, like I said, is you just gotta share, keep pushing the message.
Keep sharing information. Yeah. And what's that like? Because isn't Montana usually they lean right?
Yeah, we lean right. I would say that's a fair assessment. We used to be, well, we were two districts. We went down to one district, and
Mm.
the eastern side of the state is very right. I mean, it's predominantly large, multi-thousand acre ranches, and a big Trump country up northeast part of the state. And of course, southeast is more oil country, which is historically right. But the western side, where we're at now, we when this redistricting happened, we split back into two districts, and with that redistricting, we're Missoula, which is where I'm close to, is a liberal arts town. And college is liberal arts, very high college education, and there's more tech jobs, engineering, that sort of thing. You get down near Butte, it's a big union area, so it's a lot of generationally, mining town and some of the old trade unions, that kind of thing. And so we carry a lot more blue, and so we're truly purple here. But even Montana as a whole, like I think this last term, June 4th, was reelected as a governor. I think that swung it just one governorship towards the right. Before that, we were 50-50. So
okay.
for his term, it was like 12 years of Democratic governors.
Yeah.
And so it's not as red as people assume. It's not like Texas, for instance, or
Sure.
Oklahoma or something like that. And even Texas, I mean, has its areas that are pretty blue too. But in general, I think this is a very winnable district. In fact, the call before you was I have a gentleman helping me with crunching the data, and he did a phenomenal job of picking out segments. And it's like, we definitely have some targeted strategy that will completely turn this thing on its head. So I'm pretty excited about it.
I think there's like a moral compass issue, that isn't, I like to believe in most people, and that right there, if you're down in the community and talking to everybody like you should be, and not relying on Washington to get, to that pushing that button to say whatever daddy says goes, and you're actually in there fighting, representing the people, that goes a long way. Just like
Mm-hmm.
just like Andre, like he's in the community. People know him and recognize him as a person that is true to who he is, and he lives and breathes where he's from, and that goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And that bypasses a lot of the money, because right now, when you see somebody feasting and it's famine on your side, you're going to be like,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute, I thought I voted you in. Why aren't we all reaping the benefits right now?
Yeah, I love that message. Actually, I mean, that's so true. Here's something to think about too. I think you guys, and we all come from roughly the same era. So you think about, before internet and before social media and whatever, we have hundreds of years of face-to-face communication. So
Mm-hmm.
our bullshit sensor is really, really, really keen when we're in person.
Mm.
And I think it gets harder, clearly, when you add the digital aspect to it, and especially when that digital aspect is not like this even, but in terms of like social media, when it's either clips or words or whatever, and it's more segmented. But if you're in the community with people and you're talking to them, people are smart, man. They know
Mm-hmm.
what shit or not. And so authenticity rings true. And I think, I have no problem telling something about somebody. If I don't know something, I'll be like, I know nothing about that. But I can learn
Mm-hmm.
about, or I'll bring the right people in that do know.
Exactly.
100%.
A lot of people are trying to pretend like they're the expert at everything, and they put up this wall between them and their constituents because they know that they actually don't know those things, and I think they're afraid to be authentic with their audience, and it's going to catch up. I mean, like I said,
We've kind of seen it when the Republicans said not to do the town halls anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone said, wait. No. Bring them out here. We need to see their faces.
Yeah. And it's for that exact reason, right? Like, I think people are pretty keen at having a more accurate assessment of whether someone's full of shit or not when it's
Yeah.
face to face, versus, when it's some memo that's put out on them.
Let me say it like this. I bet you the majority of the population is better at calling out bullshit than it is setting up email.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why you got to get out there. You got to hit the bricks.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work.
And like Monday, Tuesday, I met with some of our unions. Train transport here is still a big thing. We there's a lot of miles in Montana, and you get all that oil and coal and whatever else is getting shipped out. It's primarily done via train, right? And so the train unions are pretty strong in this state. But what I learned was they're the forgotten ones. I mean, the one group that I met with is like, we've never had anybody come and do a union meeting and meet with us before. I'm like,
dang.
What?
What?
Are you serious?
That's crazy.
I mean, Democrats are known for being strong union supporters, Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a no-brainer. But
Yeah.
I think, like you said, hitting the bricks, it's like just stopping in and listening to some of the things that they're concerned about. And many of it is relevant to stuff that's going on in DC. You have, big organizations that are trying to make more money. Railroads are one of them too. And to do that, manpower is the most expensive part of that operation. So you can cut from 2 operators down to 1 or computerize part of it. And of course, it's going to mean a higher profit margin. But that puts more people out of work. And the more people that are out of work, you either employ people and pay them a livable wage, or you have to take care of them on a welfare system. You can't have it both ways. And so it seems like that should be common sense, but for whatever reason, it's like we're either gonna have to tax that billionaire class because they've put everybody out of work and automated everything and are keeping it all for themselves. You have to tax them to take care of everyone that they put out of work, or you keep them employed and keep them having a purpose in life and working towards something. So.
And the general public, if you cared anything about the company that you're trying to build, the normal person that gets a job, if you take care of them, they're going to give you more than you actually pay them.
Oh yeah.
You just have to make sure that they're taken care of.
Yeah.
If you treat them,
that's
if you're nickel and diming them and like minimum wage and all this stuff that they keep talking about, they're not, employees don't feel connected or invested into anything that you do or say or trying to build if their kids are hungry.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's a go ahead.
No, go, Mike. I'll you.
And I was gonna say, like, you work for someone and you think you're all in the same vehicle together, and then you realize you're just at the bus stop and they're driving by, and you're like, wait a minute, I thought we were on the same thing right now. But like, there's I might have been one of your posts. I could be wrong, but there was like back in the day, there was the VCR salesman that was able to go ahead and take a vacation and have 2 cars and be comfortable, just selling VCRs. And now you can't make $200,000 without being able to like struggle. Like, come on, man, that's not sustainable.
Yeah,
isn't that wild? I mean, and that's just in our lifetime. I mean, that income disparity has grown at such a steep rate just in our the last 30, 40 years. That what's funny to me is I don't consider myself brilliant. I feel like I'm a smart guy, but I'm no rocket scientist by any means. But it seems pretty obvious to me that like at some point there's a breaking point, right? If you are if you are a home investor, for instance, and we continue to increase the price of homes to the point where no one else can buy homes, you just put yourself out of business.
Mm-hmm.
If we are in a retail industry and we continue to underpay employees to the point where they can't afford to buy retail items anymore, you just put yourself out of business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny to me that this is not common sense to some of the, and maybe it's because they have so much money that it'll never be out in their lifetime, so they're not worried about it. However, the very people that made them wealthy through consumption of their product or otherwise are the ones that need to continue buying that product in order to keep them in business. Otherwise, it all goes away. And so there's a balance there, and I think that's the scale of economies. We got to figure out how to pay people well enough to where they can, the average person well enough to where they can afford to buy a home or a car or
Groceries.
Eat groceries or go out to the movies once in a while with their sweetheart.
Yeah.
Or
that's the frustrating thing. That's the frustrating thing is when you talk to people about this stuff, you say, okay, let me explain to you like this. For an internal combustion engine, you need as much gasoline as you can hold. In a society that's based on how much people are spending, you need as many people spending. Is not that hard. It's just not.
Well,
this is what's happening. This is what's happening in California, and this is why I get frustrated with business decisions being made. I was working in Silicon Valley, and then about 7-8 years ago, I got laid off, and I thought it was me. I was like, what did I do? And I'm sending my resume out and doing all kinds of stuff. Then I started researching and I started watching videos, and then come to find out, reason I can't find a job is because they don't want to pay American developers to develop things. They would rather go and they import people from China, from India, from wherever. You can get 3 imported developers for the price of 1. And then what they do is the business owners, if the imports act crazy or they don't act the way that they're supposed to or that they've been told, then they get sent back home with no paycheck, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
So everyone that's sitting here talking about business and jobs and all this stuff, they are trying to take your jobs and they're trying to figure out how to make it cheaper. If it's an imported person, if it's AI, if it's whatever it is, they're trying to get you out of your job because it's cheaper than just giving you a job and letting you do your thing.
And that's not changing. I mean,
and that is not changing.
That's only because of, you mentioned AI. We're only going to see that gap widen more as many manufacturing, administrative, clerical, any type of those jobs are going to be automated, and they'll be computed at a rate that 3,000 of us couldn't do in one day together of the best of the best.
Musicians.
Yeah. They have AI that does. They have AI that there was a judge, I think it was on the East Coast, maybe the Midwest somewhere. There was a judge that got busted because it was feeding AI. It was feeding, I want to say ChatGPT because it's the one, but the judge was feeding ChatGPT all of the information about the case, and then letting Chat, and then his decision. His court decision was basically he was just reciting what ChatGPT said.
Hold on, chat. Let me 1 second. Let me find out.
Guilty.
I saw the trend where relationships are like inputting their arguments. Like, who won this argument between my wife and I? result, you know?
That would be fun.
I-
That would be fun.
I had
I
a friend
would do that.
tried it, and it gave them a response. Of course, one party's never happy with that response, but
Of course not.
Until it goes crazy, like Elon and his Grok.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, he went Ubermensch, didn't he?
that went pretty sideways really fast. Just a minor tweak.
No. That's not even the scary. The scary one was when two Google engineers put AI to talk with itself. It developed its own language, and then it basically came down to the fact that it needed to do away with the humanity.
Oh, that's
It's like some Terminator. Like,
yeah, that's that Will Smith. That was called AI, wasn't it? That movie? Am I thinking?
Was it iRobot or something like that?
Yeah. Same type of thing.
Yeah. And I've worked with those guys. I've gone over to their houses a couple times. What the scary thing is, you are only seeing the part that they want you to see.
Oh yeah. Well, it's owned by the Department of Defense now. Didn't they buy out ChatGPT?
Oh, did they?
Yeah, just recently.
That's somewhat good news.
I don't know if that is or not. You know,
I don't either, but I would rather have it under the current administration, which is so wild.
Come on, man.
Wild. I was thinking like overarching, like the bigger picture of the Department of Defense. But yeah, like the reality of that. Oh, sweet Jesus.
It's like we're living in Handmaid's Tale, or is it Handmaid's Tale? Have you guys watched that?
That's
We're all under his eye. Like, come on, man, this is crazy.
Yeah. And that book was written in the 80s, I think. They made the movie recently, but it's based off the book, which was written long before any of this was even in the works. And so it's odd how the eerie similarities there to parallel.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of jobs that disappear just because of there's going to be writer jobs now with generative AI, and video is getting amazing.
Yeah.
And what people do, people are like, oh, AI is never going to be as good as blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what you fail to understand is people with money don't care. Yeah. They have proven to you that they will shave quality just to get something out the door.
Yeah.
And I'm sure someone said moving pictures weren't going to be a thing either.
Well, to be fair, back in the day, moving pictures were trash. Some dude in the back with a train whistle and a organ. It would have been hard to buy into movies back then.
This sucks.
Yeah. Imagine 100 years from now, fellas.
I know. And that becomes the conversation. If we are in a simulation, or if we were able to develop a simulation, how do we know we're not in a simulation? And this, I mean, but obviously if you're not a believer or stuff like that, right? If you're not a believer, if you're a believer, you understand what we're doing here, you understand why we're here, right?
We're waiting for the rapture.
Yeah, I mean, simulation or not, we got some work to do, right? So there's a virus in our simulation right now. So we need to fix
100%. Someone typed in some comedy code, and they need to get that out.
It went left real fast, or went right. So hey, Russ, you still play the drums?
I do, yeah. I got
what kind of music do you listen to?
Actually, I'm one of those guys that it kind of depends on my mood. I like everything. I mean, my mom hated it growing up because I would be listening to Tupac one minute, and then I'd have punk rock on the next minute. You know, it was an interesting time. I mean, I 90s music obviously is still my favorite from all genres.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
whether you're a rock guy, a hip hop guy, even a country guy. I mean, the 90s were pretty incredible time music wise, but yeah, I mean, there's some amazing artists out now too. I've gotten really into some of the more alternative bluegrass type, alternative rock type
Mm-hmm.
out there. There's some cool stuff going on there, but yeah, I guess it just depends on, are you chilling or are you throwing a party at your house? It's like what do you?
Oh yeah.
Are you marching in a protest?
Yeah, exactly.
You play fight, of course.
On repeat.
Just saying, it's a perfect song for rabble rousing.
A little bit.
The video is pretty dope, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I've attached it to a lot of my stuff.
That's what's up. Yeah, man, definitely appreciate that for sure. Man, that's a lot of love. Carlos did the video. I don't know if you knew that, but so it's been a lot of support from each other. So that's what it's all about. Actually, make this thing move.
Well, I think that's the whole premise of the campaign. I mean, I know you guys know this, but my campaign slogan is "Together We Can," and it started as "Better Together" because I'm like, man, I just wish people could come back, like even my closest friends, my family, my wife and I, we're not going to agree on 100% of the things all the time.
Right.
Like we're each independent people who have had our own experiences and our own influence in life. And that's the beauty of life, is you get to, have your own opinions and make your own decisions. But somewhere along the way, we've polarized to a point where we can't even talk to one another again. You can't sit down at a dinner table together and find a common bond. And so I think the answer to this is we have to find a way to come back together and just talking again, not about the things we don't agree on, but just the things that we do, right?
Right.
And then we can start repairing some of those areas that are broken, that seem like they're broken beyond repair. And so that's where Better Together came from. It's like, man, we are so much better together. We can fix so much more if we can figure out a way to work together. And one of my director of growth and development, her name's Trish. She's out of Bozeman, Montana, and she's worked on a couple different campaigns and worked in the nonprofit space for a long time. And we were talking about some of the more influential campaign messages out there, and one of them is Obama. I think all of us know "Yes, we can," right? And that was so powerful. Whether you liked Obama or not, it's like, yes, we can do this. Yes, we can come out of one of the most severe economic crises in 2008, 2009 that this country has ever seen. Yes, we can figure out affordable health care for this country. And he was so eloquent about the way that he used that phrase. And so it seemed like a natural fit, the together and the we can part off of that. And that's where it was born from, was like, together we can blank. You fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And to each person, that blank is different. What's most important to them, or what's pressing to them, what stresses them out, what they lose sleep over at night. I tell a story about my oldest daughter passed away from leukemia in 2020.
Sorry to hear that. Actually, I read it on your website, and I wanted to tell you my condolences, because that's terrible.
It is. It's a nasty disease. I mean, she was only 13 years old. She had a whole life in front of her, and she's just one of thousands upon thousands of age that pass away from that or other things in this country. But it's one of those things. Is like, I don't know why healthcare has to be an argument in this country. I don't understand that we were in we were in treatment for not even a month, and our first bill was like $300,000 that we got for that first month. And
Yeah.
and if it wasn't for Children's Hospital, we would have been medically bankrupt right then. I mean,
Yeah.
we had insurance. Insurance maxed out, and there, there's certain things that it can and can't cover, and that's a whole different corrupt system. I won't go down that black hole. But long story short is like, if we can't figure out how to say, hey, look, I may not know you, but I would never wish ill upon you. I think if you have a broken leg or cancer or a heart attack or whatever, you have the right to go see a doctor and get help and treatment. I mean, that's we can't agree on that. And what
Right.
we're doing here. And so if you don't feel that way, then basically the way you do feel is that one life is superior to another, and that's counter to everything that I stand for, and I think many for, which is, hey, we gotta figure out how to do. If we don't agree on something, at least give each other the benefit of the doubt and take care of one another when it's needed most. And so that's where the premise comes from. Of like, for me, I think together we can figure out this healthcare crisis. I think together, I think we can figure out this housing crisis. Together, I think we can figure out how to take better care of veterans. And together, I think we can figure out how to bring down our national deficit and not leave our kids with $50 trillion in debt.
That's an amazing number. So when you're out there and you're meeting with all these folks, let's say that you bump into a group of Republicans and you tell them your message and you tell them together we can. What's, generally speaking, what's some of the things that they push back on? How do they push back on a message that is so positive?
They struggle with it, and the MAGA right. I think what people also need to realize is that not all Republicans are MAGA Republicans.
Right. Correct.
And there's becoming more and more of them that are
not
disenfranchised from that, saying like, "Oh man, that's not what I thought it was."
Right.
And that's a good thing. We need more of that. But the message is positive and also challenging. Is go ahead and try and argue with me that me and you working together is not going to have a better result than you or I working individually. I mean, our collective skill and experience is always going to trump one or the other,
right,
by themselves. And it's not an argument that anyone can really win. What they will say is, one of the main things is why is it my responsibility to take care of someone that's not equally, not willing to equally work as hard as I am, for that, or and my response to that is no one's asking you to do that.
Right.
What we're saying is we all fight for this idea of a free America, and there are things underneath that umbrella that should be included in that free America that should be opportunistic for everybody, regardless of whether you were born in the slums of the inner city, the streets of Chicago, or whether you were born in a small town in Iowa. And the ones who seem to struggle with that the most are the ones who have not ever seen the other side of that equation, right? I think. And so my challenge to them is always like, look, go see what it's like. Go see what it's like I mean, you want to support Israel? Great. Go see what it's like for the kids in Gaza right now trying to figure out how to survive day to day.
Yeah, for real.
Go see what it's like for a 17-year-old kid in Ukraine right now. getting land blasted from Russia for God knows why. You know, it's.
You thought COVID was tough.
Yeah. We've got our problems in this country, but it can be worse. And I think that's, you know, the end message is like, listen, guys, we got to figure this out, how to work together again, or this thing that so many of us take for granted is it's not far
They're
enough.
coming after it.
Yeah.
They're coming after it. And if it's not the Trump administration, it's outside forces that that want to change the way that the West does business. Yeah. So it's not necessarily under threat from just this one time. It's constantly under threat. That's why you have to constantly be educating yourself. You have to constantly be talking to people. So when they say, reach out to your representative, whatever, this is kind of what we're doing. Granted, we don't live in Montana yet. I don't have enough money yet.
Yeah, neither do I. Right, I mean,
even then,
the message is true. It's again, we talked about having short memories, but this is not new for America either. I mean,
right.
We've always had racism.
Right.
We've always had internal strife. We've always had some external pressure to destroy or ruin or undermine the fabric of our free democracy.
Yeah.
And that's not going to change. Those pressures are always going to be there. You're never going to get rid of all the racists. You're never going to get rid of all the bigots. You're never, we talked about Epstein, you're never going to get rid of all the child molesters. You're never going to get rid of all the, war criminals. What you have to do is stay keen and educated enough and have systems in place as a society to handle them when they come so that they don't become some traumatic moment in history like some of them have in the past,
Yeah.
And I'm worried that's, one of them is at our doorstep right now.
Yeah. It's a clear whether or not you accept it as an attack on our democracy, it is clear that someone is actively trying to change the way we do things.
Oh yeah.
You take that as a threat, you take that as a just whatever, as a, turning the page, whatever. There's someone currently trying to make aggressive changes. And this bill that they just passed, everyone's talking about how 51 million people are going to be kicked out of having health insurance and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but what about the part where he's saying that he like after a judgment comes through the courts that he gets to ignore them now?
Well, he's doing that already. So
I mean, you're not wrong. But now it's officially in writing.
Right, exactly.
And that's not how you're supposed to do things. I don't care how he might be. If he was let me say it like that. If he was that smart, that all these people think that he's that smart, he would have been able to do it without trampling over the rules and the norms that we've had in this country since its inception.
Yeah. And
we're pretending like 100, 200 years of smart people haven't had their fingers in the pudding. You know what I mean? Now all of a sudden Trump shows up and now he's the one. Give me someone that reads books, please. Make it make sense.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I think he's so out of touch that's what makes him dangerous, is that there's no sense of repercussions.
Right.
Oh yeah.
People prior to him may have tried, but also were at least intelligent enough to know what they had to lose and what to risk. And I'm not sure that that's all there with that man. And honestly, it seems to be getting worse as presidency. I mean, they talked about Biden's steep downhill kind of descent in his presidency, and some of the gibberish coming out of Trump the last even month is like, whew.
Well, now they got him.
It's a big contrast.
Now they're reporting on his swollen ankles and swollen hands and stuff. So,
good. We talked about Mother Nature. I'm just saying, like, sometimes you gotta step in. Not that Vance is any better, but
yeah, for real.
I don't think any of them can ride a bike across the country like Mr. Russell Cleveland, though.
Yeah. Shoot, I don't know if I could anymore, man.
Did you do that once?
Yeah. Back in 2012, I did a coast-to-coast solo cycling trip, and it was average about 100 miles a day for 6 weeks.
Oh,
yeah, it was a grind, man.
Which way did you go? Did you go east to west or west to east?
West to east, and started in Ocean Shores, Washington, with my rear tire in the Pacific. Finished in Gloucester, Massachusetts, with it was pretty much the whole bike and my whole body diving in. I was so ready to get that Atlantic Ocean. It was an experience. I'm
assuming you had a follow vehicle and all kinds of stuff.
No, nothing.
Just you and a bike?
Just me, bike, 2 panniers. My now wife was my girlfriend at the time. She followed me from Washington up to Montana, and then from Montana all the way to Massachusetts was riding solo. So, and there were some days out there. Trust me, I wish I had some support, because let's see, I had a couple near-death experiences. One was tornadoes in South Dakota. Truck drivers in Iowa. I got ran off the road a couple times on purpose. Like they don't like bikes on the road. Bike issues, traffic issues, normal stuff you'd expect. But
you did it just because you were bored?
No, I told you I was into fitness then, and I was a personal trainer, and I was really passionate about prevention of childhood obesity. I had some personal motivation with family members that had struggled, and so I decided I wanted to. It was a bucket list item of mine, but I also wanted to do it for some cause, and so I started this charity called Pedal for Prevention, and raised money that went to the Alliance for Health Regeneration, which at that time was kind of the predecessor to school lunch programs. Their whole purpose was to get healthier food options into schools for kids, so long story short, I pledged basically this bike ride was my return for donations for the organization that I did, and this was social media was just kind of picking up at that time. So I had a pretty good following at that time for Facebook, but it was awesome. I mean, you talk about like immersing into communities and meeting kind of the heart of America and finding the true soul back in the good of people again. I mean, there were people that helped me in ways. I mean, we could have beers and I could tell you stories all night long about that trip, but it restored my faith in humanity a little bit. And then, maybe I need to do that again now. I don't know, but there are some. We have to remember that it's easy to feel like people are inherently bad. I think there's just a lot of inherent goodness in this world, and it's just the lens you choose to see it through. I think
100%. This country, for as crazy as we look, this country is full of amazing people.
Oh yeah,
amazing people that if you have a flat tire, they will stop. If you're hungry, they will feed you.
Yeah.
The crazy people that they put on TV is exactly that. They don't go and they don't ask everybody. They ask the ones that they think is going to be the cute sound bite or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. For the majority of the people in this country are wonderful.
Yeah. And I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I've known you guys for all of, well, not even 2 hours for music. I think,
And we're already gonna have a beer. We're gonna go make some
Beer in the
music. And we
mountains,
got a
yeah.
drummer. Hell yeah, dude.
I'm just not.
We got
I'm
Cliff
just not
Cash.
riding.
He's gonna put some bars down. Hell yeah, dude.
We got a group.
I've always wanted to be on a rap album. So if this Congress thing doesn't
You
work out,
came to the right place.
I might say,
Together we can make music. Man.
Together we can.
at least you know I got rhythm. I mean, I'm a drummer, so I got that one. For me.
Hell yeah, dude.
That's what's up.
I told you my daughter's the one with the pipes. That girl can sing. But
I'm gonna get her on the track, man.
yeah,
It's gonna be a
she's really excited. She asks me about once a week.
Is she a rapper or a singer?
She's not a rapper. She definitely. I mean, she probably could. I mean, she started when she was young. She would see me playing drums, and so she really wanted to learn how to play drums. And so
Oh, cool.
I taught her some, and then I got her some lessons. And you know, I'm a firm believer kids always learn better when it's not mom or dad trying to teach them, because I mean, my genetics, they're stubborn, right? It's like they learn better if it's someone that's seen to be cooler than mom or dad is the one teaching. But,
They don't realize how cool we are, man. Come on.
yeah, they'll learn someday, you know.
We were.
Yeah, so true. But yeah, that evolved into piano and guitar and
Oh yeah.
she's playing trumpet and so I think there's 5 or 6 different things. And she's only 11, so she's no expert. But man, I hadn't started playing drums when I was 11, you know. So I started when I was 13 or something like that. And so I told her, I'm like, look, just keep at it. You gotta, you know, you got a future, and if nothing else, you've got a passion that you can feed your soul with for the rest of your life, even if it's not
100%. When the world is trying to get you, you just go in and play music.
Yeah. I
Therapeutic,
feel like so many adults. We could talk about mental illness and that a little bit too. But I feel like it's one of those things that so many times I feel like we lose that piece, whether it's not having a passion, or we feel like we lose a purpose in life, or whatever. And I feel like that leads to just like this mental decay for so many people. You know, you have to have something that feeds your soul, and
yeah,
it doesn't have to be music. For some people, it's fishing or you know, skiing or whatever that might be. There's a lot of different options.
a bike ride across the country.
Yeah, I mean, that fed something. I was consuming about 10,000 calories a day during that trip, so there's definitely.
That's crazy. How long did that take you?
It was.
I'm gonna guess like 6 weeks. Yeah, that
Started
makes sense.
I think, and finished like July 18th. And there was times, like there was one time in Midwest somewhere, I had multiple layers on sunscreen unit, but it was so hot that I blistered through all the layers of my shirt even. And so I had to take like off in a row because my back was completely blistered. And
Jeez. Ouch.
Just from heat, not even from UV, you know? So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but back to what we were saying, it's like, I think people just, you know, it's important that people feed their soul.
Yeah, for sure.
Money doesn't. People chase it with money, but money will never do it. I mean, money will never.
Right. Exactly. I've known miserable rich people, and they're never satisfied. And I've known people that didn't have anything, and they're very happy with the little bit that they had.
Yeah.
Again, it's the angle of which you look at it.
Yeah. 100%.
How have you had any experience dealing with people in Washington?
You know, my earliest experience was when I was a kid, I was selected for this program called Boys Nation. I don't know if you've heard of it. Boys State, Boys Nation. Boys State, you're selected from your school, and this is every state across the nation does it. But your high school selects you. You're in student government. You go and set up basically a mock state government. And
Oh, cool.
you set up legislation, and you try and pass laws and whatever. And then out of that statewide one, they select 2 people to go and represent your state for the nation, and then you go and do that at the national level too.
Nice.
The cool thing is you get to do it right alongside all the actual congressmen, senators, and Congress, and met the president and Colin Powell at the time. And I was there like 3 months before 9/11 happened, so it was
wow.
it was an interesting time. There's not many security measures in DC. It was a pretty chill time in that government, but I'm sure it's changed a lot since then. But yeah, and then obviously while I was in the Navy, I had several different trips up through there for different types of things. Not really rubbing elbows with any federal legislators, but we were in and out of DC for different types of stuff all the time. So,
cool.
But yeah, I mean, it's. I think, oddly enough, I'm one of those people that I'm like, it's a place and they're people, and the more we can remember that, it's like, it's people are, like you said. I think you said it early on in the call. It's like, all these guys chase it for fame or whatever the reason is, instead of realizing like it's meant to be an opportunity to represent the culture and the place where you come from, and protecting people that you're there on behalf of. And we've gotten so far away from that. It's wild.
Will you be wearing your bolo tie and all that stuff when you go?
Oh no.
You one of the
Bolo tie wear, not a big belt buckle wear. And I live on. My wife and I have a ranch here in Montana, and we have 35 head of cattle and about 6 horses and chickens and the whole works. But if we're riding and or pushing cows or whatever, then of course we wear boots and hats and all that too. It's but it's not part of my normal dress attire. Not a thing for me. So.
What's hilarious is I have a cousin that grew up. He was born in Chicago, grew up in Puerto Rico, and is currently a big belt buckle cowboy boot wearing, and he identifies as a cowboy or a hillbilly. He says,
"Oh, really?
I'm a hillbilly." Yeah, and I'm like, but you voted for Trump because you don't like trans people. Like, you're not. If anyone understands what trans people are going through, is you, sir.
You're 1 degree. You're 1 degree away. You just gotta ask him what hill Billy's on. But
yeah, I don't get it. And he is a passionate Trump supporter. Passionate. I'm like, I don't get it. You're Puerto Rican, dude.
Common question I've gotten out on the campaign trail is like, why do you think people still support him, or why do you think people support him? I think, the only thing I can come up with is that the system, the setup of our system has been so dysfunctional for so long that he's everything like that. And so the idea of being something different than what has been, that thrills people, not the man himself. Because I think most people you talk to, yeah, he's arrogant or he's abrasive or whatever. I think of a lot of colorful terminology when I think of him. But
yeah.
his supporters use words like that, but they're like, but he stands for something that is against what we're against, and I think that's the idea of dark money and a deep state government and kind of a big corrupt machine, and I get that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I also understand that the person they put in office is like fuel to
He's
the
not that.
back, like
Yeah.
he is the epitome of all those things.
Yeah. I think we're at the verge of finding out that his movement is bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would be in trouble if let's just say Joel Osteen were to take on the Trump persona, I guess. We would be in trouble because I think Trump's downfall is going to be his earlier years when he was out being a fool.
Mm-hmm.
You can't undo the past. If this was a God-fearing man that was out here talking like this, that didn't break any rules and that didn't have any Epstein files associated to him, I think we'd be in really big trouble. The only thing that's going to save us right now is we're going to find out that the movement is going to supersede him, is going to pass him up only because he's old and a dirty person. But whatever the movement is going to do after him is going to make or break. I think right now what we're doing is we're learning that the movement might not need him.
Yeah, I mean, you cut the head off a snake. It's just like, I mean, you were Army,
Right.
Cut the head off a snake, another head grows back.
Right.
Place because, and that actually is the part that concerns me. It's like I said, I don't find him a brilliant man. I think he's the poster boy for a bigger movement that is quite frankly kind of a Christian nationalism movement that is power driven and very well funded and very well organized. And when I talk about deep state, it's in every community across America. And, so I think the concern is, how do you create a culture as an element of that culture that's been sewn in, interwoven into the fabric since its inception? I mean, that's a pretty hard thing. So again, I'm a firm believer that it's strength in numbers, and I truly believe there's more of us than them, and that's how you win. We need 51%, not 75, not 90. So we keep sending the message. I mean, things like this, social media, community events, music, whatever it is, you keep doing the work and mobilizing our own people to keep fighting for good, and that's how we continue to suppress the bad.
So, what does the man in black have to say to the people out there in Montana and across the nation? Why do they need to get behind you?
Well, I think my core message is that division just does just that. It tears us apart. The idea of parties and titles, that is the whole premise of division. I'm a firm believer. I wish we could just do away with parties, run on a centralized ticket, and you have to run against everybody. And there are no parties. There's no us versus them. It's one fluid spectrum, and the votes fall where they will. Right? What a world that would be in. Where
that would be an incredible situation. Yeah.
So the whole idea of the man in black, the reason I laughed because there was an artist north of here in Kalispell. I had an event, and she was a brilliant artist, and she comes up to me and she goes, why are you the man in black? And I explained it. I said, well, I'm tired of the red ties. I'm tired of the blue ties. And so she goes, well, wouldn't you be purple if you were somewhere in the middle? You know, you combine red and blue and you get purple. And I'm like, listen, we don't need to get started here.
All right, visual artist.
I go laugh though, but you know, you asked about music.
Cowboys look way cooler in a black tie than they do a purple one.
And I'm a big fan of John Cash and his music as well, and also just the idea of like black has always had this core message against it. You know, I think we saw it through, you know, whether you're looking at like Black Panthers or kind of the Harley Davidson movement, or you know, you name it, all these groups through history, it's been this symbolic color of not just mourning, which is part of it. I think we're all kind of mourning the state that our country is in right now, but of also of rebellion, and my state of rebellion is against the very system that I'm trying to get hired for, which is ironic, right? It's like a system of polarization and division and corrupt funding and you know, broken decision making, and it goes on and on and on. But the whole idea is that if we as a people can get behind the idea that we don't have to tolerate that, then that's where the progress starts, to start making change. And I firmly believe there's some other people in Congress right now that are already starting that work, that are you know, not well liked, but also are kind of just need a few catalysts to help create a movement. And so I might be pointing my campaign as the man in black, but I really believe that the movement's already started, and we just need more people, you know, more troops to join the fight, if you will.
I agree. There's power in numbers.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, you've said that a number of times during this conversation. We can, together we can. It's right there. And a lot like these other situations that are out in the world, when one person says, hey, then the other person can also feel more comfortable saying, hey, you know, it's a thing. When you read psychology books, you know, it's you see it at a stop sign, right? If you're waiting to cross the street, everyone is hesitant, but once the one person does it, and then you get the other person to do it, and all of a sudden everyone is crossing the street and the light is still red. You know?
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah. So that's, you know, that's why, like, Mike and I were reaching out to different people to have conversations with them, to let people know it seems like it can't be overcome. And it seems like the times are dire, because apparently, like, when Trump got nominated or whatever, like, apparently I was reading stories about how the Democratic Party was lost and all this stuff, and how are they ever going to come back? And I'm like, not for anything, but all those fundraising emails and all those fundraising text messages are coming through, so something's working.
Oh, it's not lost. I think we're in rebuild mode, right? And I think the big thing you're going to see is a changing of the guard. It's time for a younger generation to come in and start kicking ass and taking names. And and I'm not afraid of anybody's feelings. I'm not afraid to fight. I'm not afraid to ruffle feathers. You know, I think the thing that, you know, there's a balance between respect of the process and position, but also what we're not seeing is ability to have a spine and say, no way, not happening. You know,
for real.
And there are some of them in there, but they're not many numbers right now. And so I think we can get some strength in numbers and representation, you're going to see big things happen. This is a pendulum, fellas, and this pendulum is swung so far one way. If one thing I know to be true, the ways of the world, physics, what have you, it's bringing that pendulum back the other way. And we need
100%.
we need to be ready to catch that rebound. I mean, it's coming. So it's time. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No. And with that, we're gonna send you off with Godspeed. We're following you on Instagram. We're gonna be sharing everything. We're gonna be doing all the things. You guys, if you can hear my voice, Russell Cleveland. Together we can. Together we can. Looking at you, Montana.
Yes.
Looking at you, Montana. We got to get this kid in here. We need more people that can look at a situation and try to fix it without his hand out. We need that. That's the only way that this Make America Great Again thing, not for anything. I know I haven't been around for 200 and some odd years, but a little bit that I've seen, we can do better. We should focus on Make America Great, and together we can.
Amen.
Amen to that. Well, thank you, fellas, for having me. RussellCleveland.org. Check it out. Any support, anybody listening out there, I'm grassroots. I need all the support I can get to keep this thing rolling, and I appreciate every little bit that comes my way, and together we can make anything happen, and we will. So keep up the good fight. Thanks for doing what you guys do.
Thank you. Thank you for taking time, hanging out with us. Mike, thank you, sir, for number one, setting this up. Number two, hanging in there.
It's
dark
all
as
good,
hell
man.
in Florida, boy.
It's dark, but we all right. I'm wearing my Mexican hat, man. I got to be careful out here. They might pick me up on this bitch.
Shoot, you see me walking my puppies and people are like, hey, why you sweating? You're not even walking. I'm like, bro, ice is around here somewhere.
I'm high alert. I don't even got ice in my drinks.
They just got a budget increase, so be careful, fellas.
Oh boy, that too.
All right, nice meeting you guys. I got to bounce.
All right.
See you later.
Appreciate it. Later.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Coconut Justice.